and Nicolene can do the same. My name is Gary Kivitz. I am the business training manager for EssilorLuxottica. I've been with the business for around 9 years in various roles. My background mostly is in the retail on the retail side, so understanding customer journey and customer experience is probably my specialty if I had one. But very much retail based for the last almost 7 years at least. Of course, around 2021, 22, I was started getting exposed to the wholesale business as well. So, pleasure to be here. And of course, with Nicolene, who is actually in charge of the session. I'm only here as a support. She's the one running the session. So Nicolene, you go ahead, introduce yourself, and then you can start.
Perfect. Thank you, Gary. Okay, so I am Nicolene de Abreu. Some of you will know me because I've been with EssilorLuxottica for quite a number of years. So I've started off in sales, but now I am doing a lot more training. So I have been doing more virtual classrooms and training sessions. And my background is definitely the lens side, wholesale, technical knowledge, product information, things like that. So today we're really excited to be taking you through sun lenses. And I think it's really it's a good time of year to be talking about sun lenses heading into the summer months, the hot summer months. And a lot of customers are going to be coming into your stores looking at sun lenses, looking for advice, looking for recommendations. So this session is just basically to give you information to help you with dealing with customers, but also to grow your own product knowledge on certain sun lenses and the properties and the benefits thereof. Okay, so just to get started, this is something that you all do know. So sun lenses has specific benefits different from your optical lenses. So optical lenses would provide vision correction. Sun lenses would provide vision correction if the sun lenses are made into the specific prescription, but it is more so for eye protection. So blocking UV rays, protecting sensitive eyes, especially for children who are particularly vulnerable with UV exposure. And then sun lenses also help to reduce glare, which in turn just basically helps to increase the visual comfort while the patient or the customer is doing a specific task, but also contributing to safety as well. Because with certain things like driving or boating, safety can become an issue if glare or if there's anything that's hindering the visual performance. So sun lenses help with that. Obviously, sun lenses can be an aesthetic and fashionable accessory as well, so it can contribute to style. And as mentioned, it is something that customers look for because they want to be more comfortable when outdoors in bright sunlight. Okay, so just moving on, and this is also very basic. I'm just going to be running through the types of materials that sun lenses are available in. So the main material is your plastic material, and within that category, there are different types of plastic. So you have your CR39, your polycarbonate, polyamide, and so forth. So there are a lot of different types of plastic materials. And as you know, each plastic material has its own associated benefit as well. So it can be chosen according to what the patient or the customer actually needs it for. Glass is still available, but very, very limited, mostly in some of the frame brands. There is still glass like in Ray-Ban, and I think in a few other categories as well. So glass, we do still offer it as a sun lens because of the high resistance to scratching and mechanical stress. The reason why plastic has actually overtaken the market is because of the safety aspect. As you know, glass shatters. So as soon as your glass sun lenses fall, it can shatter. Even while on the face, if there's any impact, it can shatter on the face. So with regards to safety, plastic, we are heading into, or we are leaning towards plastic lenses, and the technologies of plastic lenses have come a very long way, and that's basically replacing the benefits of glass. So glass, you would still get your outstanding optical clarity, but with plastic materials now as well, it is much lighter. You're getting good optical quality, and it is more comfortable to wear because of the fact that it's light, and people can use it for extended periods of time, can correct the vision, or it can just keep that patient or customer comfortable. So it's suiting the people's lifestyles, the people who are very active, and who those who actually wear their sun lenses all day. So people who are driving the entire day, it is especially important to meet their lifestyle needs. And of course, with plastic, it is impact resistant as well. So there's, as mentioned, there's certain ones that would be more impact resistant than others, like polycarbonate, but it is impact resistant, and you are getting exceptional resistance to scratches, especially with the treatments that can be added to the lenses as well. Okay, so the types of sun lenses that we can get, and I mentioned this already, you can get it in a prescription option, or you can get it as plano. So plano would be basically just purchasing it off the shelf. It doesn't correct the vision. The lenses are not exchanged for any prescription lenses. It's standard lenses that are in the frame, and you would get variety of styles, variety of colors, color styles, and the lenses can include various treatments as well. And these lenses would offer basic UV protection. Okay, so no visual correction, but basic UV protection. And then, as you know, we do have the option of prescription sunnies, either on the frame side or the lens side. And this is designed for specific vision correction. So it's the unique prescription of the patient that that is made into a pair of sunglasses. And of course, you get a wide range of features and technologies that meets all the needs of your patient. So whether they are looking for something aesthetically appeasing, they want something that looks good, or if they want something for a functional reason like fishing or that sort of thing. Okay, so the sun lens variations that can be found, one which is really, really common is your fixed tinted lenses. So you can get a fixed solid tint, or you can get a gradient color as well, where you're getting a transition from darker on the top of the lens to a much lighter tint at the bottom. Okay, then you have your mirrored lenses as well. So the lenses have a highly reflective sheen on the lens surface, and this results in sort of like a metallic mirrored effect, which is really, really nice and really stylish as well. Then you have your polarized lens options as well. And as you know, this blocks more glare than your standard tinted lenses. So it's blocking glare from light reflecting off flat surfaces, basically your horizontal surfaces. But we will go into a bit more detail on polarized lenses in this coming session. And then, of course, not forgetting photochromic lenses, which is the your transitions. So this would be your lenses that darken with UV exposure, and that's mostly when you're out in the sun. And when you're coming back indoors, then the lenses clear up. So it's actually a nice, convenient way to just have one pair of glasses, and the lens just basically accommodates for the light that is the light environment that the patient or the customer is in.
Yeah, Nicolene, if I can just make a comment on the previous slide where we talk about
Yes.
photochromic lenses, it is quite convenient because you have one pair instead of carrying
Mm.
two. But often photochromic lenses aren't 100% substitution for a pair of sun. And one of the, I mean, my experience is the following. When I'm driving, as an example, my photochromic lenses don't change. They stay clear.
Mm.
And so
Mm.
I do need a pair for driving as well. And so when it comes to customers, I think it's important to explain that. where you think you're giving them one product to solve all of the needs. There is a couple of scenarios where they will actually need a pair of sunglasses versus something that's just photochromic. Yeah.
100%. Thanks for that, Gary. That is a really good point. Okay, so moving on now, this is the range of fixed tints, polarized tints, mirror tints that are available on the EssilorLens catalog. And as you can see, there's a whole range of different colors that are available to for your patient to choose from. And I'm sure you would have had the question from one of your customers or one of your patients where they've asked what is the benefit of a specific color, or which color should I go for if I'm a golfer, for example, or if I'm out fishing. So this next part is just talking about the lens tint colors specifically and what the main benefit of each lens color is, and the recommendation or the activity that best suits that color. So the first one, and this is one of the most common colors that are chosen as well as sun lenses, is your brown or even an amber color. So as you know, it's a glare reducing tint. And the nice thing about the brown color tint is that it actually makes a cloudy day look brighter. So it's not just for your bright sunny days, because it does definitely comfort the eyes in sunny conditions, but it also helps to just brighten up the vision when exposed to a cloudy or in a cloudy day. It does improve contrast as well, so you get heightened contrast, especially against your green landscapes and your blue skies as well. So with this particular color, because it actually filters blue light, it includes red hues in the color that filters blue light. It helps to improve depth perception. So this is a really nice option for your golfers who are looking out for the golf ball during as they're playing. So the golf ball is a really small object against the green landscape and blue sky. It's easier for them to make out those small objects and make out their golf ball when they're playing using a brown or amber filter. Okay, the next color is your red or rose tinted color. So this, again, it does filter a little bit of blue light, and this helps to improve driving visibility. So whether sunny or overcast, it does help to improve that driving visibility, which in turn helps to just keep the eyes comfortable because the glare is not as extensive. And then the depth of field is improved with this tint color as well, because the details of what the patient is looking at is enhanced with this. So it's a great tint color to consider for sporting activities like skiing. Okay, then next is your yellow, gold, or orange. We've put that color, or we've put those colors in the same category because the benefits are very similar. And I'm sure you do know about the yellow and the orange filters that are best for hunters. Okay, so the reason for that is because the yellow, gold, or orange filters work best in moderate to low light level conditions. So you get exceptional depth perceptions when having to view at distances or view objects at a distance. It's just improving the depth perception and making it easier to see certain objects. And it also improves the visibility of those objects. So the surroundings appear brighter, and again, that blue light is filtered. The only disadvantage with this yellow, gold, or orange colored filters is that it can distort other colors. So that is just something that you need to bear in mind. Although it works so well for hunting and for shooting in the moderate and low light level conditions, it can distort other colors. Okay, and then a very, very common color as well is gray. So this is a very neutral color. It reduces glare. It helps to shield bright light, like most of the other filters as well, but it works specifically well when on the water. So when someone is fishing, this filter actually helps to reduce or shield the bright light that you getting reflecting off the water. And this filter also works very well on cloudy days as well as sunny days, just like your amber brown color filter. So it's a nice all-purpose use pair of or color filter. So you can use it for driving, you can use it for fishing. It's a multi-purpose color. Okay, next we have the blue or purple color. So the blue, I'm sure you've seen sun lenses with that blue color. It is really stunning. It's a stunning color. It tends to match almost any skin tone. So aesthetically, a lot of people go for this color because it is so fashionable. But it does have functional benefits as well. So you're getting very good color perception through these lenses, and it helps you to see contours around objects more clearly. So you're getting to see that the contours, but it is still offering protection as well, specifically from your reflective surfaces like your snow or your water. Okay, and then again, it's working really well, not just in bright environments, in your sunny environments, but also when it's foggy and misty. It does tend to work quite well. Okay, and increase the visibility. And then last but not least is your green color. So with green, you are getting, it does provide a lot of contrast because again, it's filtering out some of the blue light that you would be exposed to from the sun. And this helps to reduce glare, but it also helps to reduce eye strain when you are exposed to brighter sunlight. So if your patient or your customer is exposed to really brighter sunlight conditions, this is a color that you can consider. Bear in mind that these colors, I'm just talking about the tint color. So obviously there are other options as well, like your polarized tint, like other options that we will be discussing as well that may enhance your vision a little bit better. But if someone is just looking for a plain fixed tint color, this is a nice guide that you can use to basically recommend something that would help with their lifestyle. Okay, and then just talking about the treatments and coatings, because I did touch on it a little bit in the beginning. So as you know, with sun lenses, well, with basically any lens, a single scratch can jeopardize the expectations. It can ruin the entire experience of wearing sun lenses. So especially when that scratch is right in the center of the optic zone, it can be quite troublesome. So normally, sun lenses would have treatments or coatings. A very common one would be the hard coat. That helps to just resist scratches, and it just makes the lenses a bit more durable, helps the lenses to last longer. But again, it also depends on the underlying material. So obviously some materials would tend to be more impact or more scratch resistant than others. And then an anti-reflective coating can be added onto sun lenses as well. And this, as you know, just helps to reduce the glare, which in turn just helps to prevent eye strain and discomfort when using the lenses. And then it's good to also make sure that there's an easy to clean treatment that's applied to the lenses as well. And most of the time, this easy to clean treatment is already included in the hard coats as one of the layers in the hard coat. So it comes standard, and that will just help to repel water droplets, oil droplets. Just make sure that smudges are not as significant on the lens. So even if there are smudges on the lens, it's not as visible. And basically just to keep the lens surface clean. Okay, so I will be handing you over to Gary. He's going to be taking you through the polarized lenses. Gary, I know that with scratches, it is important to note, you did make a very good point about the Oakley lenses. I'm not sure if you'd like to
Yeah.
start with that.
Yeah, I think as with any lens that's a little bit more complicated or complex, sorry, in terms
Mm,
of how it is put together, care for lenses are very important, right? So Nicolina has spoken about coatings, any kind of coatings, mirror coatings, anti-reflective coatings, hard coatings,
mm,
etc. Um, because of the way that Oakley, as an example, manufactures their lenses, they don't use any glue between the coatings and the layers, okay, of the lens on sun lenses. And what that means is it's a chemical bonded material. So there's no kind of glue that sits between them. And that means that anytime those lenses get scratched, as an example, what you are exposing is a chemical bond. And we know that for every chemical reaction, there's an opposite chemical reaction. And so what could happen is that those lenses could start to peel as they become
mm,
exposed to the elements. So some of the things that are really corrosive over time is sweat. Okay, so we've got a low level of acidity in our perspiration. So handling them with our hands and fingers, that sweat molecules get into the lens and starts to deteriorate those chemical bonds as well. Things like seawater, salt water, another one. So we always recommend when we are selling these lenses to customers that we explain care of these lenses as well. Okay, because sometimes we believe that it's a manufacturing error when it's not actually a manufacturing error. It's just that these lenses do require a little bit more care, and it's simple. It's easy to clean, wipe off with some low level what do you call it, with a cleaning solution. Let's just say a cleaning
mm,
solution, approved cleaning solution, and that's it. And always store it in a case or in a pouch and out of the sun, because what happens is often when we leave the residue on those lenses, it now goes and sits and bakes in the sun, or people go and dry with them on, and so heat is the other element needed for a chemical reaction, and then these lenses just start to disintegrate. So I thought that, as yesterday, when I mentioned yesterday, I thought was an important point to remember, and to also have that conversation with our customers and clients. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about polar. What is polarized lenses? What do they actually do? And so Nicolene already explained. Glare, most commonly known, is when light, all natural light, gets reflected off a horizontal or flat surface. And so if you're thinking about those scenarios, it would be when you're standing at the edge of some water, or you're looking out over the ocean at the beach, and you see that white light that starts to, and it's kind of on the sea, it's even worse because it moves, right? And
mm,
so it's very uncomfortable. It's hard to look at without squinting, etc. So that's a prime example of what glare is. The other is when you're driving in the car. And the glare gets reflected off the road surface, especially if it's a little bit wet. So it's just been raining and the sun comes out. That's a perfect scenario for glare to be very, very serious. And so when we talk about polarization, polarization is in effect a filter that's applied to the lens that reflects the glare off the front of the lens. Okay, and I like to think of it as window blinds, so specifically like kitchen window blinds, where you've got those slats that are horizontal, and they're obviously placed at a certain angle to reflect the glare off the front of the lens. And so technically, that's what the filter does. The polarized filter reflects that glare off the front of the lens. If we look, however, from the customer's perspective, so if we look at the next slide, how do you go about talking to customers about this? Because sometimes, it's a bit technical to say, okay, now you've got all of these things. What you need to remember basically is three C's. Okay. So if we talk about the benefits of polarization to our customer, we mention number one, clarity. So clarity of vision. So because you are blocking out a lot of the white, uncomfortable light, you are providing more clarity of vision. Okay, and so that's number one, a better experience for the patient. Number two, better visual comfort. And so reducing eye strain, especially in those same kind of conditions. So greater comfort for the patient. And then, of course, there's safety as well, because you are creating better contrast. Okay, so better contrast and clarity and comfort means you're improving the safety for your patient and your customer as well, especially when they're driving or doing some kind of sport activity where they're moving at a high speed or using equipment that could potentially kill themselves or or other people on the road, etc. Sorry to be, I saw your face, Nicolene. Sorry to be negative, but anytime you're driving a car or a bicycle or operating any kind of machinery, safety is a big concern. And so with a lot of our lenses that we use, we can almost guarantee 99% of the glare is going to be effectively eliminated with them. Since we were talking about Oakley, I think, with Oakley, it's important to mention that it is a bit of a more superior polarization than with some other manufacturers, right? And Oakley calls it high definition polarization. That's because usually manufacturers of polarized lenses will apply the polarized filter with some glue. Okay, so it's sandwiched in the lens, there's glue applied in between it, etc. But the lenses could also be manufactured at different times. Okay, so you've got the left lens and the right lens, and someone is just simply assembling the lens. And what's important is that Oakley says, okay, number one, we don't use any glue. And so I've mentioned this before. Okay, so no glue is used in the Oakley. So guaranteeing and still upholding that optical clarity is very important. And then secondly, both lenses of a single pair of Oakley sunglasses are manufactured at exactly the same time. In that way, in terms of the polar or the axis of polarization, we can guarantee that they are perfectly aligned. Okay, so the left and right lens are perfectly aligned with each other in terms of the axis of polarization, and that's why we can almost guarantee 99.9% of all glare is going to be eliminated because it's so precisely manufactured as well. Okay, so yes, polarization, but there are levels to polarization, and I think probably Oakley does it best. Thanks, Nicolene. The other lens technology I think that is important to cover is prism lenses. It's another Oakley technology. And it's really important because Oakley takes the science of sun lenses to the next level. So if we look at just what prism is, okay, and we have to again just compare that to a normal standard sun lens. A normal standard sun lens is going to reduce all of the colors in the environment. So if you're looking at these two graphs, that it's a color spectrum, right? And so if you take a normal pair of sun lenses, it will simply just reduce all of the colors in the environment, especially gray lenses do this kind of thing. Prism lenses, however, Oakley's gone and said, can we finely tune the colors that we want to target to either enhance those colors or to suppress those colors in the environment? Okay. And what you then get is the result at the bottom, where you've got specific color frequencies that have been suppressed. How do we know which colors to target? Well, usually it's going to be those specific frequencies where colors start to blend into each other. So where blue goes into turquoise, into green, and where yellow starts going into orange, and where orange starts going into red. We really want to separate those colors in the environment, and that's what they've achieved with the prism lenses. So colors are finely tuned, certain colors enhanced, other colors suppressed, and that's to enhance the colors in the environment. If we look at the next slide, I can show you an example of what that looks like through the actual lens. On the left-hand side, a standard lens. You can see that everything is darker. It's a bit more dull, not as much contrast, less detail, and no fine-tuning compared to the lenses or the picture on the right-hand side, where you can see colors are more vivid, more contrast, and detail is sharper. And that's because we've pulled out certain colors. So we've pulled out the red colors and enhanced them. The blues we've enhanced, and the greens we've enhanced in this environment. And so you can see those colors are much more vivid. And it's just much more pleasant to look through these lenses than the one on the left. Okay, and of course, prism lenses, it's only manufactured by Oakley. There are other examples. So Ray-Ban does Chromance as an example. I know Maui Jim does their own kind of they have their own name for the technology that they are using, but Oakley uses the word prism to kind of explain the technology. So in general, So we are highlighting the primary colors in every environment. Okay, but Oakley has taken it a step further. And they've gone and looked at specific sporting codes. So they've looked at things like cycling, like golf, etc., and developed lenses specifically for those environments. So this is the Prism Road lens as an example. And if you're looking at the bottom right-hand side of the screen, you can see where those dips are, where we're really cutting the colors again. So looking through the lens, you can see on the outside of the lens, if you're looking at the sky versus through the lens, you can see that blue is really starting to pop out. You can see the greens are really starting to get highlighted. Even the yellow through the lens is brighter. But what is most fascinating here is if you're looking at the road surface. So if you're looking at the road surface outside of this lens, it looks beautiful. It's very smooth, it doesn't look like there's any kind of imperfections on the road surface. The minute you look through that lens, you start seeing cracks in the road, you start seeing loose sand. And so that's the level of detail and contrast that you're getting through the prism lens. Why is this important? Well, for a cyclist, if a cyclist is moving at speed, they need to make split-second decisions. And so being able to make split-second decisions about the path that you are going to follow down the road, and doing that at a distance becomes very important to your own performance. Okay. But on the safety side as well, you think about things like loose sand, obstructions, objects, even standing water, as an example. Those are all hazards for a cyclist. And having the visual clarity to be able to make those judgments becomes very important in this environment, right? One thing to note here, it's a non-polar lens, because here actually glare will assist the cyclist. So an example is there's some standing water on the road, which the cyclist needs to avoid. Glare actually makes that water more visible. Okay, it's just because there's glare being light being reflected off the water. Okay, so yes, in a nutshell, that's the road lens. Let's look at the golf lens as another example. And intuitively, someone would say to me, yes, but Gary, we want to enhance the greens, of course, because we're on the golf course. Oakley's actually spent a lot of time and said, um, when you're looking at the graph here, we want to suppress the greens because the greens are overwhelming in the environment. Everything looks green and looks lush and wonderful. Actually, what's going to be more important is the blues and the reds in this environment, because the reds are going to tell us where there's loose sand, muddy ground, and to kind of differentiate between what is healthy grass, what is unhealthy grass, where's the putting green, where's the fairway. And so being able to clearly see the path on the golf course becomes very important. And so that's another example where Oakley has really spent time and said, okay, these are the colors we want to pinpoint. The golf lens actually does this where it suppresses the greens in that environment. Okay, it will obviously accentuate the blues as well, and some of the browns. So you can literally see that on the graph. Okay, you can see that happening where the blues are and where the reds are. Also non-polar, because here tracking the ball becomes important. So a little bit of glare off that white ball actually helps you to track the ball as you've hit it down the fairway or even on the putting green. Okay. And then let's look at one more, Nicolene, one that's a little bit more different than the previous. This is a deep water lens. So Prism Deep Water, definitely going to be a polarized lens because you need to cut out the glare on the water surface. So, I mean, a water surface is where you find the most type of glare. And it's more distracting because the water surface moves, and so the glare also moves around. So it's going to be a polarized lens, and we are going to suppress some of the shades of blue so that it doesn't overwhelm the eye. Okay, so we want to filter, like we did with the golf lens, we want to filter out some of the blues because some of it becomes too overwhelming. And then, of course, because it's polarized, it's going to cut out the glare and you can see the water surface much clearer. And so, again, looking through the lens itself, you can see the difference where there's a very white, there's almost a white haze over this the water surface here outside. And believe it or not, that's glare. Okay, so that white, it's not as sharp as conventional glare, but that's glare because, of the reflection of the sun. And so here you can see through the lens much clearer much more contrast, much more comfortable as well. Okay. Thanks, Nicolene. I think one more thing I just want to cover here is you've got two categories of prism lenses. You've got the everyday lenses, which mostly are polarized because the everyday lenses are meant to be worn every day. When you're driving, just taking a walk, maybe you're taking a hike, etc. So it's a very comfortable lens. It's the most comfortable you're going to find. And then on the left-hand side is the sport lenses. So some of the lenses that I've spoken about today, like the road lens, the golf lens, deep water lens, etc. But there are others as well in that category, and a lot of them are non-polar. But it's for the reason that the polar or the glare actually helps you in that specific sporting code, and that's why we've kept it non-polar in that particular lens as well. Okay, I think that's me for Prism, Nicolene. Over to you again.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you so much, Gary. And thank you. That was explained so brilliantly. It's amazing to know that there is actually technology beyond just your normal standard tinted lens that is actually specific to a activity. So it was really, really great to go through that and to see the different examples of the technologies available. So I'll be taking you through basically more on the customer side, how for you to become a color expert and to properly recommend different colors or different matches of colors as well, the frame and the lens matches. So just to start off with, there's certain terms that I will be using, one of which is hue. So just so that you know what exactly I'm talking about, when I talk about hue, I'm basically talking about a color. So different hues, as you know, different colors have different wavelengths in the color spectrum. So the hue is basically your blue, your green, your yellow, your orange, and that is the color. So the next one is value, and that you can see a line running vertically on that color wheel that's on the right hand side. The value is also called darkness. So you can see right at the bottom, it's a much darker, blacker color, and then on the top is much lighter. So it's just basically the darkness or just the measure of brightness of a specific color. And as you can see, that does differ. And then the third that we'll be talking about is chroma. So chroma is how intensely saturated that color is. So you can see it's the diagonal line coming out, and on the outer edge of that color wheel that we're looking at, you can see that the color is much more saturated. It's much brighter and more intense as compared to the colors in the center, which are less saturated. Okay, so as you saw, there's a lot of variations in colors and in the color wheel, and that actually helps with matching your lens and your frame colors because you have various ways to match it. So I'll be taking you through the different ways that you can match the frame color with the lens color. And obviously you can change the brightness accordingly, or you can change the intensity, that saturation as well. So the first is monochromatic harmony. That's basically matching the same color lens to the same color frame. And that's very common because a lot of people don't really like a bold look like with the other options. They prefer something more neutral, something that that just blends in, is elegant, that sort of thing. So with the other color matches, it can be a lot more bolder. It can be contrasting colors. So it's for something that someone that is a bit more outstanding and wants something to match sort of their personality as well, because as I said, this is a fashion accessory, and sometimes it is someone uses it to just showcase their personality in a way as well. So going through each one of these color matches, like I mentioned, the monochromatic is matching the color of the frame to the color of the lens, but you can modify the brightness or even the saturation of that color. So you can see in the examples on the right-hand side that the colors are the same. So the hue is the same, but the brightness or the intensity or the saturation is different, and it's just giving a slightly different effect, but it's elegant, it's sophisticated, very, very mellow. Okay, then you have analog matching. So this is basically choosing colors that are side by side in the chromatic wheel. So it's like matching your orange colored frame to your green lens, or even a blue frame to a green lens, maybe a yellow frame with a green lens. So it's different colors, but it's basically choosing colors that are very close to each other. Okay, then next is complementary color matching. So this is where, if you're looking at the color wheel, you're basically matching complementary colors. So one very good example is your blue and orange. Those are complementary colors. They're opposites on opposite sides on the color wheel, and you can see that it is bold. It is very out there, and that is one of the ways that you can match the color and the frame just for that type of personality, that patient type that you may get. Okay, and then this is a very unusual way to match, but it is possible because some frames are two-tone. So some frames have one color in the front, and then the temples are another color, as you can see in the examples. And then what you can actually do is you can match a completely different color lens to this frame that just adds basically a different dimension. So these are very bold color matches, and it's called triadic harmony. So it's 3 different colors and 3 different sides of the color wheel, and it's basically just matching those different colors for a more bolder, more out there kind of look. Okay, so now having gone through all the colors, it is also very important to make sure that you're matching the correct frame shape to your customer. So as you know, people are very different, their face shapes are very different, and that's what we use to basically match the frame shape to the patient face shape. So these are examples of some of the common frame shapes that you can encounter. So you get your round shape, your butterfly, your cat eye shapes, pilot or aviator shaped frames, and even your rectangular shapes as well, the rectangular being the most common, I feel. So you have to make sure that you're suggesting or recommending a frame, the shape of a frame that would suit your patient's face shape. So these shapes, the examples that I have on the slide here are angular shapes. So it's a whole family of face shapes, but you can see it's different angled shape. So like your triangular, your diamond shape, your square shape. So it is more of the angled shapes, and we do not recommend going for your square rectangular shaped frames. With these face shapes, we do recommend going for a more oval or more rounder frame shape, just so that it balances out the customer's facial proportions and it just looks a little bit better. So one important thing to note here, and I'm sure this is something that you are aware of, but people don't really like to hear that they have a certain shape of face. So sometimes you may be trying to help and saying, you know what, don't go for a square shape because you have a square shaped face. It's not gonna balance out. They may take offense to that. So just make sure that you are a bit more subtle. Just make sure that you are recommending, you're talking more about the shape of the frame rather than focusing on the shape of the patient's face. Okay, so these are the examples that I mentioned. It's more of a rounded shape. And then now for patients who have more of a rounder, oval, circular shaped frames, that is where you would recommend the more squared, angular shaped frames. So, and again, it's just to help balance out and just make sure that you have that golden ratio, that it's suiting the patient, because obviously, as you know, patients, as they try glasses on, they're looking in the mirror, but they are asking you for your opinion as well. So it's nice that you also understand how to match not just the colors, but also the shapes of the frame to a specific patient. Okay, and now I'll just be handing you back over to Gary, who will be taking you through some really interesting facts about the customer and the sun journey. I'm not sure if you want to share from your side, Gary.
Yes,
Oh,
Nicolene. So I think I'm sharing already.
okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
So good stuff. Thanks, Nicolene. What's really important in this kind of final part is how do we engage with customers, specifically around the sun journey. Okay. So understanding customer needs or patient needs through effective communication. That's kind of the theme of what I'd like to touch on. And so I think what's been great is we now understand color, we understand shape, we understand how to match them very well. We understand technology and features. How do we translate them to the customer? How do we speak about them to a patient, etc.? And how do we get to really connect with the patient with the product? Okay. So the first thing is to understand who our customers are. And I like to do that using Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay. And typically, what we find is that our customers or our patients that visit our doors fall into the top three tiers of this hierarchy. So if you're not familiar, the top three tiers talk about love and belonging, which is really important. Being included in either a friendship circle, a family circle, a social circle, etc., but feeling part of something. Okay. The second one is self-esteem or esteem, at least. So how do I feel about myself, and how do I want others to see me? Okay. And then self-actualization is right at the top, where you are living to your highest potential. Okay, and I'll explain that through a couple of examples. So the first thing that customers could say is, my friends all have designer eyewear, and I don't want to be the only one without them. So remember now, I'm trying to get into the circle. I want to belong somewhere. And my friends all have designer eyewear, and so I want to be part of that. And that falls very much into that love and belonging tier of the hierarchy. So I always think about, when moms go and drop off their kids at school, and all the moms are driving SUVs, there's something that makes other moms want to also drive SUVs, because we want to belong to the mommy club. We want to fit in with all the other moms. Okay, so that's an important aspect to understand. Or someone could, not say it with their words, but you can see that wanting to be seen as successful is really important through what they're wearing. So it could be accessories, it could be the clothing, and sunglasses also fall into this category. So branding is important. I want people to see that I'm wearing Ray-Ban, or I want people to see that I'm wearing a brand like Versace, because when they see me wearing that, they'll know that I'm a successful person. Okay, I've made it in life, etc. So esteem is really important to sunglass customers as well. And then the final segment there is an example where someone just wants the best quality. So price is not an issue. I just want something to solve my problem. I've got sensitive eyes, or I play sport. I'm a cyclist. I just want the best quality, best materials, best lens, best technology, and I don't care really what the price is. I just want the best. Okay, and that very much falls into that self-actualization tier. Okay, so I know it seems unrelated, but definitely our sunglass customers fall into one of these three spheres. So I'm going to make a couple of statements. The first one is, every customer or patient that comes into your practice is looking for something. Okay. Now, you might agree with this, you might not agree with this. The way I know this is true is because we don't sell milk and bread and sunlight liquid in our practice or our store. So someone's not coming in and like lost, sorry guys, can you just tell me where I can find the bread? No. People come in and they know that that there's a motivator that's either they're going to need sunglasses, or they want vision correction. Okay. And that's really important to understand. So we know they are coming in for something. And it could be like the things that I spoke about before. It could be around enhancing my image or being seen as successful, or it could be I need a solution for my sensitive eyes, something for sport performance, or that example about my friends having designer eyewear. I want the best quality is another one. Or I love brands. I just love brands, and everything and anything that Kim Kardashian is wearing is something that I want as well. And then lastly, I want to be seen as fashionable, or I want to be seen as trendy, or I want to be known as someone who's pushing the envelope and an individual and out there and bold, etc. So all of these are motivators that get someone to walk into your practice. Okay, and that's very important to know. And I normally have three categories. So I've got that personal image and esteem category of customer. There's also the functional customer, and that's around self-actualization. And then the customer that's all about belonging to a certain social status. Okay, my friends or my family, etc. Okay, so what's our job? Our job is to discover what that motivator is. Okay, what is the motivator behind a customer coming in? Now, I know that the journey for corrective vision is a little bit different. And sometimes you've got customers or patients just coming in and browsing, and they're actually just coming in for sun. But in both cases, we have to make the discovery of what is the want or the need. And then we're already on our way to making a good connection with the patient or the customer. Okay, that's very important because once you know what the need or the motivation is, you can use all the tools in the toolbox to give great guidance and recommendations in terms of sunglasses. And so, like Nicolene has already spoken about, the colors, the frame shape, the technology, etc. Now you start to recommend. But we put this all into a funnel, and starting at the top by accepting that everyone has a motivator, and then finding out what that motivator possibly could be. Okay. Once you've understood its personal image, what's functional, what's belonging, then you can understand, is it something fashionable or is it functional? But even within fashionable, is the person looking for something a bit more minimal or something bold, big logos, etc., versus something very conservative? And then around function, is it just an active lifestyle? So I go walking, I go hiking, versus I'm cycling or I'm mountain climbing, as an example, or is it just everyday protection? Okay, and so there are even subcategories into these categories of product. Um, so how do we do that? Open-ended questions. We engage. We don't even have to engage around eyewear. It can just be questions around lifestyle. Okay, maybe brand information is important in this case. And maybe technical product information is important as well. And those are the things that we've spoken about today. Oops, sorry, before I get there. And so again, once you understand all of these aspects, the recommendation is so much easier. Okay. So by understanding the real needs of the customer, you can convert any browsing customer into a sale and making that great connection. Okay. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I think, Nicolene, it would be nice if you just talk about this quick reference guide. I think it's fantastic. It's a quick reference guideline into how do we deal with, or how do we treat, what kind of experience do we give a sunglass customer?
Yes, yeah. And it's exactly that, Gary. It's not specifically for, well, you can use some of the pointers here for your normal patient who is coming for an eye test and getting the whole procedure done. This is more specific for your retail customer, the sunglass customer. So basically, as Gary was saying, and he said it in such a great way, that it's easy now to understand that you have your emotional customers and you have your functional customers. So you have to know how to deal with every type of customer. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to stop what you're doing and engage with your new customer. Make them known that they are important to you by entering the store. You have to make eye contact, maybe even get their name if you want to make it a little bit more personal. But you need to build that connection just so that you can take it to the next level of actually selling them something. Because as you know, a browsing customer, if you're not paying attention, they'll look at the sunglasses on the shelf and they can easily just walk straight out. It's your job to sort of convert them from just a browsing customer to someone who is actually interested in the products, interested in what you can sell them and the recommendations that you can make, and basically getting that sale at the end of it. So the next step is breaking the ice. So you've already made that connection. You need to set the tone of the atmosphere, welcome, make sure that the customer feels welcome and comfortable in the store, and basically showing that you care, showing that it's not just another patient, another job for you. It's you genuinely care what the needs are for that customer, for that patient, and you are there to help and to recommend the correct thing. So that brings me to the next point of asking the right questions, and that is specifically so that you can understand whether they are more of an emotional customer, more of a functional customer. Exactly what Gary was talking about. You need to just not only talk about optical or ask optical questions, but ask lifestyle questions. When they answer, listen to understand as well. Don't just immediately try and respond or try and talk over the customer. You need to be interested. You need to understand what they have to say, and then you can give them a more personalized experience by making a good recommendation. And I think we've taken you through quite a lot of information. So the recommendation that you can give based on their needs, whether they need something for functional wear or whether they need something just to look good, you can make that recommendation and then basically make the sale at the end, but also not just rushing into making that sale, making sure that the customer or the patient is done as well. Because sometimes they'll be shopping, they choose a pair, and then they end up choosing a second pair as well. So if you are quickly or too quick to push the sale, you may only put or sell that one pair, whereas you could have sold more than one. Okay, and that is just a really nice quick reference guide that you can use for your sunglass customers. And as mentioned, you can just use some of the tips for your normal patients as well. But it's always nice to convert a browsing customer to someone who you can actually educate, and you can make a proper sale for something that they actually are looking for. Okay, perfect. So that is it from our side. Thank you so much for your attention. I know it's quite I think we hit an hour already, so it's quite a long training, but I hope that you found all the information valuable. We will give you an opportunity to ask any questions now, if there are any. You can either unmute yourself, or you can drop the question in the chat or in the Q&A section. But yeah, we really appreciate you joining. And if everyone is good, if there's no questions, then I think we can end the meeting, Gary.
Thanks, Nicoline. I think what's nice is Nicoline will share the presentation with everyone on the call after. So you'll have the reference and the materials, everything that we've spoken about. So that's also nice to know. And then, yeah, you've got Nicoline's email address. If there's any questions that you think about tomorrow or next week, drop her a mail. Or any other questions that we can help with, for sure. But yeah, from my side also, thank you for your time and your attention, and everything of the best. And if we don't speak to you again, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yay. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great
good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Vanessa.
Thank you, Nicoline and Gary. Also have a Merry Christmas. It was a good training.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Nanette. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, thanks, Nicoline. I'm going to end the meeting.
Gary.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. Bye.